Hi, we are Adam
and Gloria,
and together we purchased a 1985 Mercedes 300 GD for the sole purpose of traveling around the world. We'd like to invite you to follow us along as we build, travel, and explore this wonderful world we live in. This is Vintage G Overland.
G Wagon, G Wagon, G Wagon, G Wagon, all the housewives pulling up.
It's a G Wagon.
well, the husband wanted a G Wagon. I did not want a G Wagon, so we compromised. And now we have a G Wagon.
Land Rovers, Toyotas, Jeeps, and Broncos. With all the different 4x4 options out there, why the hell did I pick a G Wagon? Well, the answer might surprise you. Let me show you what I'm talking about. More likely to be seen at your local mall rather than at Trailhead, why is it that so many people don't know how to use a G Wagon? Today, the G Wagon is quite possibly the world's most misused and misunderstood 4x4s on the planet, but it wasn't always this way. Maybe it's due because of its status with the elite. And perhaps maybe it's too expensive. Or maybe it's all of those things. But if you're looking for that Land Rover attitude with none of the Land Rover price, you might want to look into a W460 or W461, or heck, even a W463 before 2018. Now, to start off my 4x4 journey, I wasn't originally settled on a G Wagon. In fact, I had my heart set on a Land Rover Defender, but given the price tag, especially here in the United States, it just wasn't feasible. So I began perusing the internet to figure out what else is out there, and this picture caught my eye. It looked similar to my Land Rover Discovery 2 that I loved dearly. However, where would a guy like me find one of these in the United States?
This is the Mercedes G class, or the Geländewagen. And when it was launched in 1979, it was truly ahead of its time.
So I joined every Facebook group I could on the W460, hoping maybe, just maybe, there might be one for sale somewhere around here. I was looking for a white diesel 5-door with an automatic transmission. And lo and behold, I found one, only an hour and a half away from where I live. What are the chances of that? My wife and I went over to look at it and took a day's drive just to see if it was even worth doing. And from what I saw, it did not scare me at all. It hadn't been running in about 5 years. It was originally imported over from Poland and spent the majority of its life in a climate-controlled environment. I was no stranger to being a mechanic, especially working with a Land Rover Discovery 2. And so I sold the car that started it all in order to get the W460. It was a sad day, but I'm still happy that I made that choice. I've always been a fan of vintage vehicles. Something about they just don't make them like they used to really rings a bell with me. As I began to do more research on the W460, I started to realize just how capable they built this vehicle from the factory, with front and rear mechanical lockers and all of the R&D that they did in order to build this vehicle. Why isn't more of them out there in use? I wanted to see more people like myself going out into the world and using this vehicle for what it was truly intended for. And sadly, to my dismay, there's hardly any videos of people out there traveling, at least not in English. So I decided that there was a niche that needed to be filled. So here we are. And although there was a lack of other G-Wagons traveling the world, I was inspired by all of these people. I started to envision what life would be like on the road 24/7, traveling from country to country, place to place, and seeing what the world is truly made of. And once I saw the story of Gunter Holtorf, I was hooked. 26 years in a W460, traveling through 215 countries. What an adventure.
You are not born an explorer. Once we bought Otto with the idea to travel an adventure tour through Africa for about 2 years. But as usually, things get more complicated and more time consuming. So we finally ended up spending 5 years in Africa. And I think by then the car was just rolling on, and we kept it like that, adding spot after spot. Once you are in New Zealand, you definitely carry on to Australia. Once you are in Australia, you definitely continue to Southeast Asia. And suddenly there's not much left. Soon the idea developed to not only visit all major parts of the world with Otto, but to deeply explore them. The two of us wanted to travel in a way that allowed us to make an individual tour. We wanted to have the freedom and the independence to decide where to go and when to go. I started my career in aviation, but I always had an interest to not only experience new destinations just on the surface, but deeply inside. I wanted to do it down to earth, on flight level 0. Why Otto? Because every child needs a name. Why child? Because it is a car we lived in for about 26 years. A car we slept in many, many nights. A car that has carried us safely all over the world. If you have experienced so much together, you grow into the car, and the car just grows around you.
So the next question is, what about support? Does the manufacturer even have parts for this anymore, or are there aftermarket parts available? And the answer is yes. Surprisingly, the manufacturer still creates parts and has parts on hand that you can purchase from any Mercedes dealership. Now, it may take a minute because it'll come from Germany, but support is there. So now we move forward with purpose and direction and a clear goal in mind. This is going to be one of the hardest undertakings I've ever done. For all you future explorers, I hope this video inspired you. I hope that now, seeing that it can be done by other people, even in that time, we have so many more resources now. We can work from home, we can work on the road. There's no reason why we can't see more of the world. Get out, see it, and live. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next week.